Welcome back to Talking Interesting. I'm Alvin, and today we're tackling one of the most fundamental yet perplexing questions in science and philosophy. What is time? Time is what we all sense, quantify, and even try to control. But what is it really? A human construct, a measure of space, an illusion? On this day, we're exploring the nature of time both scientifically and philosophically. We'll look at how physics defines time, why philosophers argue that it doesn't exist, and why we're so obsessed with controlling it. Whether you've ever thought about time stuck in traffic or argued its purpose over a cup of coffee, this episode will have you thinking. So, let's get started. We can start with physics, the field which has arguably brought us the most concrete and contradictory notions of time. Maybe one of the most shaping theories regarding time is presented by no lesser a scientist than Albert Einstein. His theory of relativity completely redefined how we perceive time. Time in classical physics was absolute. 1 second on Earth would be equivalent to a second on Mars. Simple as that, wasn't it? But then came Einstein and turned the entire affair upside down. He suggested the idea of space-time, a four-dimensional network in which space and time were intertwined. There isn't fixed time in this model, it's relative. Time can slow, speed, and even appear to stand still based on how much you're speeding and what you're encountering for gravity. An example would be if you move nearly the velocity of light. Time really will slow for you compared to an observer at rest. This occurrence, called time dilation, has been demonstrated by extremely accurate atomic clocks flown around on supersonic jets. Another mind-bending concept is the block universe theory. Here, past, present, and future exist simultaneously, like pages in a book. You can move through them, but they're all there collectively. Time, in this perspective, doesn't flow like we perceive it to, but rather just exists. Part 2. Time in quantum mechanics. Uncertainty and paradoxes host, but that's not the whole tale. If we zoom in close enough on the quantum world, the IDUE world of particles too small to see, the behavior of time gets even stranger. Quantum mechanics treats time differently than relativity does. Indeed, reconciling these two theories is one of the great challenges of modern physics. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that time does not exist. The equations that define quantum states have no flow of time in them. This prompted the idea that time might be an emergent property, not a fundamental property of the universe, but something that exists as a byproduct of how we experience reality. And then there's entanglement, the quantum phenomenon. Two particles can be entangled so that the state of one will instantly influence the other, no matter the distance between them. That appears to contradict the speed of light, that at the most fundamental level time and space are not as rigid as we think. Thus, physics presents us with a double vision: time as a malleable dimension on the one hand, and maybe non-existent at the quantum level. Confusing, isn't it? Let's switch to philosophy, where time has been argued about for centuries. One old chestnut is time real or an illusion? Ancient Greek philosopher Parmenides asserted that change, and thus time, did not exist. The world, in his view, was one unchanging, eternal entity. Fast forward a bit, and we find ourselves with St. Augustine, who wrote famously, "What then is time? If no one asks me, I know what it is. If I wish to explain it to him who asks, I do not know." Modern thinkers like J.M.E. McTaggart have also joined in. In his opinion, time is an illusion, since it requires a chain of things in order to be understandable. If the future is not yet real and the past no longer exists, then what makes time real? Alternatively, presentism holds that only the current moment is real, and that past, present, and future do not exist in ways distinct from one another, but rather all at once. Surprisingly, eternalism is in fact more compatible with Einstein's block universe theory, and it has a potential philosophical link to modern physics. Okay, let's make this less theoretical. Why do we perceive time moving forward, even though physics suggests that it might not be? Some psychologists believe that our perception of time is merely a human construct, a survival mechanism to impose order on causality and sequence. This helps us plan, survive, and exist in an ever-changing world. Our brains dynamically structure our experience into past, present, and future. This subjective sense of time is why time seems to fly when you're having fun and drag when you're bored. Neuroscientists believe that the brain compresses repetitive or routine activities, making them feel shorter, while novel experiences are stored in greater detail, stretching our perception of time. Whether time exists or is only an illusion, it certainly affects our lives. We schedule our lives, date our milestones, and even dread a running out of time. Our understanding of time tells us how to live. If we believe that time is an illusion, then our past regrets and future concerns become questionable. If there's only the present, then why concern oneself with what lies behind or what's ahead? Or if time is a dimension, then our choices and actions would be more fixed in place than we'd even consider. So then, is it significant that time is real or not? Maybe, maybe not. But to assume its reality leads us to think of how we place value in our own life. Thanks for tuning in to Talking Interesting. This episode really only touches on the surface of time, but hopefully it sets some wheels turning. And maybe even some existential thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and comment. What's your take on time? Is it an illusion, a dimension, or is it something else? Let me know. Until next time, keep wondering. And remember, time is stranger than it appears.